First of all, I don't want to blame anybody. I think we're just been kind of brainwashed into doing that. And I'm raising my hand here as well. I've been running an online business for 12 years now. And it's just kind of happened over time that everything we can find about marketing is kind of this sleazy approach, right? And so I think what's wrong with marketing in today's day and age is that a lot of the conscious, this heart-centered entrepreneurs don't feel good about the marketing anymore. They want to do, good in the world. They want to offer their services. But whenever it comes to marketing, they're just like, oh, I hate marketing. I hate selling. And why do they hate it so much? It's because they think they should be following these methods that, the big marketing gurus are sharing with them, and all the things that we see out there that are kind of loud and maybe obnoxious and just not feeling in integrity. So I think it actually creates a lot of anxiety for the entrepreneur to feel like we have to market that way, right?
Yeah, no, so true. I don't know who said it. Might even have been you in the past at some point, but it was something like, we don't remember often the good ads because we followed through with them and now we enjoy the product and we don't remember the advertising anymore, but we remember the bad ads because they're annoying and we have to scroll past them all the time. So it's weird, isn't it, that when we then have to get into the saddle and start marketing, all that comes to mind are the bad ads. And we just can't remember all the ones that really inspired us.
Yeah, it's true. But it's also because that's what we see when we are taking these courses and the trainings where they tell us, you got to nail down the pain points and, really get into people's pain and, and that's what is somehow feeling so icky, because you're like, but wait a minute, I'm a life coach. I want to help people. I want to make people feel better, not worse. And so why am I drilling down on this pain so much? Why am I telling that if you don't take this course, your life will, never be as good as it could be? Or so it's that impression that we have to do it the way that we've been taught or that we see online everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And then what you've gone on to do is identify, is it 7 or 9 key areas as part of your mandala of things that you need to be thinking about. And once you've got all of that together, then you realize you're creating an entirely different sort of platform for how to communicate with other people, not just marketing and sales and advertising. No, it's communication with other people.
Yeah, I actually didn't invent that. I just remodeled the existing 7 Ps of marketing. They have existed all the time. And what I did is I changed some of the Ps because for me, for the conscious entrepreneur, what I realized it's all about showing up as you in your marketing and bringing more of you into your marketing, because that's what attracts your ideal client. Instead of focusing so much on, what's out there and, who's my target audience and all of that, it's like, well, who am I? Let's go inwards for a moment and figure out who you are as a person. So your personal values, what you stand for. If we look at the big companies, that's exactly what they're doing with their marketing right now. They are, standing up for things, and that's what attracts people. And so why not do the same thing for us, right? So let's go inwards first. So figure out who we are as entrepreneurs, then going, into this personal power. So what are our values? What are some personality traits? Because you and I are both introverts. Well, that makes it a huge difference for someone to understand, oh, these are more kind of the quiet people. So obviously we don't want to attract, the
extroverted and party lovers. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah. They can still be extroverted, but there's a certain type of person that is attracted to a certain type of personality. Yeah. And so that bringing more of that into your marketing, that will only attract the right kind of people. So it's kind of this what I had to learn really is I was always about the doing. So, all these methods and getting stuff done. And then what it hit me is realizing that, oh, wait a minute, I have to go more into the being. And that's what attracts people to me specifically, is who I am. And so that's what this program is all about, is learning more about who you are as an entrepreneur, making sure that that uniqueness comes out in your marketing. Other people call it authentic marketing. Well, what does that mean, authentic marketing, right? It's this buzzword that people use, but if you don't know who you are, then how are you going to be authentic? It's almost like there's a course now on how to be authentic, but that doesn't exist, because everybody is unique. And so it's more about finding out who you are. So,
having a sense
it's a mix of
confidence.
being and doing. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's having a sense of comfort and confidence in who you are, who you want to be, where you're going. It's also so true how especially, and again, in the sandbox where we're playing in, where we're talking about small businesses and maybe not corporations, but where when you're dealing with brands at that size, your brand really is an extension of you. It's not like you have a different identity when you're creating your brand. It's really going to be you. It's going to think the way you think. It's going to function the way you do. And even as you scale and start growing a little more, it's still your heart. And if you're not clear on that, or if you're consciously trying to be something that you're not in yourself, you're going to have the kinds of problems where it's like, I don't understand my brand, what I should be doing. And I think 90% of a brand's or a company's problems disappear once you clarify your brand. And with most of them, it's going to be an extension of the founder, whoever, whatever his soul is, or that person's soul is like. So
yeah, even the bigger companies, the ones that do well, are the ones who have these true values very much clear, and those are not the kind of the sleazy values like, oh, we value trust, and no, these are the real values that usually come from the founder and then expand as the founder hires his employees. So yeah, totally.
There you go. Well, let's take a couple of minutes here. I'm curious to walk through some of your story. You have this fascinating little background, like a group that you grew up in that has oriented you and your life and how you approach things. Can you walk us through a little bit of that and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah. So it's something I was kind of wearing this mask and hiding that whole part of me because it didn't fit into this professional kind of alter ego that I was trying to portray on LinkedIn, especially, right? I chose LinkedIn as my specialty, and LinkedIn being the professional network, I thought, okay, this past doesn't belong here. So the story is that I grew up in a community. My parents bought an apartment building with 5 other families. And so we really grew up in this community. We each had our own apartment, but we spent a lot of time with all the other families, and they co-owned the building. And so there was a lot of decisions made together. There was parties. And so I, on my About page, I have this line that says I'm a hippie turned business coach, because that's really what it felt like. Kind of, my parents were all about the workers and very socially conscious. And so that's the part, that's my shadow. It was always my shadow. It's like, oh, I'm not going to bring that into the business world. That's embarrassing. Like, we didn't own a car. I was different from everybody else, right? Yeah. And now kind of coming full circle and bringing that back into my marketing and realizing, but that's who I am, and growing up in this community and now being a leader of a new community, that's where my strength is.
Yeah.
And that's what I encourage, all my clients and other entrepreneurs to really bring that story, that unique story that they have, more into their marketing, so that people are, really, there's no more comparison. I always say, if you don't bring in your story, and you know this about storytelling, if you don't bring in your story, you're just a commodity, because there's hundreds of other LinkedIn specialists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I don't have my unique story, then people are price shopping. They can just go on any other website, they'll find the same skills, because let's face it, everybody can become a LinkedIn specialist. So that's not how I'm unique. Well, where I'm different is when it comes to my values, because people are going to connect with me as being that kind of person,
right?
Or to someone else because they bring in their own story.
Right. Give people a chance to not buy from you, but to buy into you.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah.
Awesome. No, it's great, and I think it's hilarious as a corollary. This past month in starting my own company, I've been trying to niche down, understand my audience so that I can literally find their profile on LinkedIn and meet them and talk to them, and then realizing I'm also coming full circle. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't realized I was sort of disconnecting from that and coming back full circle to what my family business was, which was public speaking. That's what my dad did his whole life. And that's where I learned to do like everything. And coming back to that and realizing, oh, it's not private schools, it's not necessarily consultants, it's actually public speakers, because I get it. I've been there. So it then creates a fresh point of resonance. There's now an added credibility. Yes. Either in partly an emotional sense of like that emotional connection with somebody, or in the credibility section. It's like sometimes take stock of your own background, your own story, and how it orients you and how you approach your skill set. Because different people will do the same thing in different ways, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I often have this conversation also with my LinkedIn clients. A lot of them are coaches and consultants, and so they always want to get rid of their past. They're like, oh, but that's not relevant anymore. Just yesterday I had this conversation. She was in retail for many years and like high up. She's like, no, but that's not relevant. I'm like, of course that's relevant. That's exactly where you are going to find your first clients, because you got out of that rat race in retail. And I'm sure there's many others who are in there right now. And so they're so going to connect to your story because, you've been there.
No, it's great. No, I mean, your little line that you say that the hippie turned business coach, I think it was, it's great because I'm trying to remember the name of the book. It's called, I think it's like How to Save the Cat or no, Save the Cat. And it's how to write Hollywood scripts. Okay. I got it because I want to understand how could you apply that to branding and business and stuff. And the first point the guy makes in the book is when you're picking up or you're reading about any movie anywhere, the best blurbs will have some kind of ironic statement. The person who is this is ironically put in this situation. The firefighter has been turned into a doula.
Okay.
How does that even, so now you're interested. There's you don't see how those two things come together, right? Ordinarily. So
I hadn't read the book, but yeah, it makes sense to me now. So, to me, it just kind of came. I don't know. It was an epiphany, but I get that. Yeah.
So now irony is great. I think as humans, we love irony. We love the chance, just the humor in it, and of course the question it then creates. Like how can that happen? So if you wouldn't mind, share with us. So your solution to all of this is anxiety-free marketing, and that's the name of your program. Can you explain that or summarize that? Because I know you've already touched on a couple of the pieces with the 7 Ps and starting from yourself, your core, your story, and not rubbing salt into the wound to try to make a sale.
Right. So I think I want to even zoom out a little, because what my bigger mission is to bring more empathy and kindness to the business world.
Love it.
That's what that's what I think I can bring as this hippie turned business coach. And I do that with marketing, because that's where I've spent the last 12 years. But the bigger picture is really the gentle business revolution. So that's what I'm working on now, really to get entrepreneurs to open their eyes and first of all be aware of of this marketing that maybe is no longer working for them, and realizing that it's true. It does create anxiety for myself. It creates anxiety for my clients, and then go, do I really want to continue this? Or maybe is there another way? And so the other way is, that's what I'm offering as a solution, is anxiety-free marketing. And the reason I called it that and not like authentic marketing, for example, because as I mentioned before, that's really what it is. But I find this word authentic is kind of become a buzzword. And so I stay away from buzzwords because, again, I just find it's almost this thing that we're trying to be authentic, but there's no such thing as trying to be authentic. You're either are or you're not. And so anxiety-free marketing made sense to me because whenever I talk to clients or potential clients, that's the feeling that I feel from them. They're like, I want to help. I want to do good in the world. And, I have a business, but I'm just feeling anxious about marketing. And so that's where this name comes in. And what it is, it's a program where part of it is, yes, the doing. So let's talk about products, let's talk about pricing, let's talk about promotion, all the social media stuff. Let's talk about partnerships, because I think going forward, collaboration between entrepreneurs is going to be the number one thing to focus on. So it's talking about the doing, but again, the first three models are a lot about the being. And I'm finally, creating a community, which is something that like I said, I grew up in, and I'm good at it, and I just haven't focused on it enough. And I know that that's what's needed, because we're living too much in isolation rather than in community, and people are actually craving the community and the exchange.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I think it's why social needed to be created, because we're no longer living, like you say, in the small neighborhoods and communities. We're on the move. We're separated by distance. So you may be forced to live in a neighborhood, but they're not necessarily your community anymore. So you have to find them, and that's what social is. It lets us find the people who think what we do, who love what we love, and want to create the same kind of future together. So maybe we can wrap up with, what would be one recommendation that you like giving to people that's easy, that maybe they can start doing?
I would just start with the awareness, and really, whenever you receive an email or when you see a program out there, start to pay attention to how it makes you feel. And also when you send out your own emails, and again, I'm not blaming anybody because like I said myself, I was starting to notice it on my own communication as well, but just to start being aware and pay attention to how it makes you feel when you see the pushiness, or when you see the six-figure promises, when you see the FOMO, the fear of missing out, all of these techniques that we are learning in these traditional marketing programs. How does it make you feel when you are on the receiving end, or maybe also on the sending end? And pay attention. And the other invitation I'd like to send is to go to the Gentle Business Revolution and get the free download of my Gentle Business Manifesto, which you, Dominic, helped me beautify. It's a masterpiece. So I would love for you to download it. There's no opt-in, just an invitation to kind of join the Gentle Business Revolution.